Alright, so I'm making this video. And this is going to be a theory series. So, theory series is basically ideas that came out of my noggin from my personal experiences in life, mainly from my personal psychedelic experiences and my personal experiences with DMT. DMT is my sacrament. The shamans use it as a spiritual thing to, I guess, get in contact with their god. Right? They drink it in ayahuasca. When I use it, I smoke it. Now, there is no less spiritualness to it besides it's much faster than ayahuasca. Me and my friend Twiz were diving with DMT in like 2014, 2015. And we did hundreds of experiences together. Hundreds of experiences. And we're trying to map out DMT space. Now, I made a video about mapping out DMT space based on 200 breakthroughs. And that video was like me trying to explain what I didn't fully understand yet, right? And I'm not saying I fully understand it because there's still a lot I don't know. That's why a lot of this is, like, I labeled one of the things called it because I have no fucking clue. But... And another one of these things on here is called something else, because I have no clue what that is either. But I'm just going to show you guys this and then explain some more. I'm horrible at art. I wish I was a way better artist. There'd be a lot of color and geometrical patterns and shapes and fucking vortexes and... yeah, there'd be a lot of shit in here. Space, because... all of this, the space in between things is space itself, the black void. But this is a diagram, and I'm gonna title this basically E8 is the matrix. But this is much bigger than E8. But right now, the biggest thing in science is E8, so we're going to talk about E8 as well, because E8 is involved in this. And I feel like it plays a major part in this as well. So, I think E8 is the matrix. So, before I go on about what E8 is and why I think E8 is the matrix, and why I make such a, what some people would call, wild claim, I want to first say that I've had hundreds of experiences with smoked DMT. Hundreds of breakthroughs. Me and my friend Twiz have had telekinetic experiences with psychedelics, not just DMT, but with mushrooms, with DMT. We've smoked DMT next to each other, recognized each other in the DMT space. It was fucking weird. There was this weird, and we both came back, looked at each other, like, I don't know, it was weird, right? But it's just me and him have done it so much together, and we were looking for the same thing together, and that's, like, I wouldn't have got a full grasping of this without bouncing ideas back and forth, with my friend Twiz. And I've smoked DMT with other people, like my friend James. My friend James had a lot to do with, like, the beginning stages of DMT, where I was just understanding, just going through the vortex and observing it. But when you look at DMT much deeper than that, you realize that there's so much more to it, and that's why there's always more you can learn every time you do it, because most people only do it once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, 50 times. Like, my friend Twiz has literally done it more than me. My friend Twiz has probably done it about 700 to 1,000 times. Like, I guarantee he's probably done it almost 1,000 times by now. I stopped using it for 2-3 years, like, I haven't used it in 8 months, right? And before that, I haven't used it for 2 years. From 2014 to 2016-ish, I was really going in with it and really just learning and exploring and diving deep. And in that short amount of time, I had hundreds of experiences, and it took me this long until now, 2019, to be able to put this out in a coherent way. A lot of this information has always been in my head from these experiences. It's just, you need a lot of contemplating and a lot of back and forth philosophizing, you know, when you're on the psychedelic, when you're not on the psychedelic, when you're, you know, I just, it's one of those things where it's like, I forget who said it, but they were talking about how discuss an idea when you're intoxicated and then discuss the idea when you're sober, and if it's still a good idea in both mind states, then it's a good idea. And that's kind of what we've done hundreds of times with these ideas and this idea. I ran this idea over with him and another friend, and they were like, yeah, that, I mean, my friend Toz was like, yeah, that's on point. And we were trying to explain it to my other friend who's never done DMT. But this is a little too deep for the people who have never done DMT. The people that, I mean, if you're into quantum physics and quantum mechanics or whatever, then this is probably something you can keep up with, you know. But my psychedelic content isn't for the novice. This is for the experienced, right? Now, I'm trying to remove this. I could cut this all out, but I'm not going to. So, let's just start. I was going to start from the bottom down, but I'm going to start from the top up. Okay, because this is what I think what it's like. Okay? Right here it says it, and it says D11. I feel like it is in D11, and what it is it. God, creation, Terence McKenna would say the attractor at the end of time. I made an analogy that it was like a battery that is like whatever, but it can be many things, right? But I think that it is the thing that's funneling down. Like, this is all funneled down. It's like a big ass funnel in a way. Like, and I say a funnel, like a funnel that would go, that you'd put in a bottle, right? And that would help get a liquid in a bottle easier. And I feel like it's like that. And at the top here, even though it's small on this diagram, it really is ginormous. It goes on infinitely, right? It's in this, and everything right here is black infinite space. All these spaces in between are just black infinite space. Now, it is these lines that are going down, okay? Excuse my horrible drawing, but these lines that are going down is it projecting itself into these lower dimensions, okay? So it then, and I also feel like, for some weird reason, and I don't know why, but every time I was in these dimensions, and every time, like, I'd bounce these ideas back and forth with my friend Twiz, he explained the fourth dimension as, like, a place where it's like it's almost like time, but you can observe time, right? And I agree. I think that the fourth, possibly the sixth, and then the eighth is, like, these are things that are not things that humanoid beings like ourselves or consciousness. Like, we're consciousness that has manifested into a body, right? And that now I'm talking. We're it that has manifested into a body that's talking, right? Because it is projecting itself into the lower dimensions, okay? So, because it is projecting itself into the lower dimensions, and the body is it, okay? In the third dimension, that's where we are. Okay, third dimension. That's where we are. Now, I have a theory. My theory series, I think it's episode 7. I have no idea. I'm losing count on what episodes they are. But the theory where I was talking about how the two creator theory, right? I think the 10th dimension is just a space in between, kind of like a look through, just like the 4th dimension is. Like, the 4th dimension is kind of like where you can observe the 3rd dimension. It's like I don't want to say like a maintenance room, but if this was all like a video game type thing, right? That's almost like a maintenance type area where you can observe the 3D, because in the 3D is the only place that we are in time, and on 4D you can observe the time that we are in from a higher perspective. Now, before I go that way, whatever, I want to keep going down. Okay, so it projecting itself into these dimensions. The 10th dimension, I feel like, is like a another workroom or an observing room of being able to observe. The creator can project itself into something where it's a little more physical, like still made of light, still not physical, because I feel like the 3D realm is the only place that's physical. Every other place is basically made of light in a way. But it's like, but not really, but that's what we perceive it as because we're 3D beings, right? Okay, so it projects itself in the 10th dimension, then is able to observe the real, what's going on, the real game. The real game begins in the 9th dimension, and then the real game begins in the 8th dimension. Okay, so it projects itself down into the 10th dimension, then into the 9th dimension. Okay, now in the 9th dimension, it splits itself into two. These two are creators. You can call them yin and yang, or male and female energies, consciousness, whatever, right? It's also what we mistake as good and bad of the realities that we live in. Now you can say from another perspective, you can say that it, instead of just projecting itself into these things, you can say that the lowest dimension, and you can say that everything is just a shadow of it. Because from these beings right here, I say beings, creators, gods, whatever the fuck they are, it's coming from, it's all it, but these are projecting themselves into this, and this is E8. Now, I have a horrible drawing of E8. It's just this circle thing, right? I cannot draw worth a damn. So imagine that's E8, okay? Now, E8, and imagine all these lines, right, are dimensions. So, E8. Now, inside of E8, E8 is this matrix machine. It's this machine that is holding the matrix game thing together. And it's almost like this game thing is a video game to get us ready to become it again. Okay? So, we're in the third. So if you work your way down, you go projected from here down into the 7th dimension. Now, 8th dimension is not, it's a thing where you can observe. It's actually the machine itself, right? 7th dimension, I feel like it's possible beings could live there. Now, the 5th dimension, okay, I wrote down right here, I wrote down for the 5th dimension, 5D, okay, I wrote down city or heaven. Okay, so I feel like that is what a lot of people mistake as heaven, because I think that is where DMT a lot of times takes you, and like you'll fly through the vortex, and I feel like the vortex is basically you're going from the 3rd dimension through the vortex, which takes you through the 4th into the 5th or into the 6th, and there's a second vortex as well, and the second vortex is when you hit E8. When you hit E8, you can also, but to get through E8, the second vortex, now, there was this guy in Rick Strassman's studies with DMT who talked about, now I've experienced this, that's why I resonate with this the most. So, I would be ripped from, in order to go through this other vortex, you end up getting your humanity ripped from you, right? So, what makes you a human being ends up being taken from you layer by layer, shredded, piece by piece. So, when that happens, I feel like that's what it takes to get ripped out of reality, right, and into this part, in order to become that again. All the memory gets erased, right, when you leave the E8 matrix. Because, now I think you can get it back, but I think that's just what happens, because then you travel down even farther, you get to the 4th, and you get to the 3rd, and the 3rd is where we are right now, right, in baseline consciousness. So, a lot of this can be explained, this would be considered woo-woo, right? But a lot of times I feel like this can be explained now with quantum physics and quantum mechanics, because quantum mechanics is now explaining, quantum physics is now explaining that E8 is like this, is like our dimension is a shadow of the fourth dimension, which is a shadow of the fifth, which is a shadow of the sixth, seventh, and which is all just a shadow of E8. Because they're saying within every atom, within every molecule, they keep looking deeper and deeper. They see quarks and whatever. They're saying that the quarks and the neutrons, electrons, and protons are just little pieces of E8 that we're seeing, right? And I definitely can agree. I agree with that 100%. And then over here I put something else, because that's something else. I feel like that's like a little, it's like separate from all of this, but it's still part of this, but I don't know what it is. And I feel like I've been there on DMT, but it feels like I'm stuck. And I don't know how to explain it. But, yeah. This is the video though, guys. And, sorry if this is whatever. I'm running out of space on the camera, so I kind of gotta get going. But, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I really do appreciate it. This is really deep. I'll get more videos where I explain it more. When I have more space on my camera. But thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, deep divers.